Hello, friends. We are with Shubha Mugdal ma'am, and we are, it's immediately after her performance. We are talking with her, and I'm super excited to talk with her, ma'am. After the performance, how do you feel? You're immediately here with us, and the energy. How do you feel about Saptak Festival?
I've had a long association with Saptak for more than maybe 25 years. I was a young student of music. Of course, I remain a student of music, but I was a very young student of music when and then Bhai first gave me the opportunity to perform at Saptak. And invariably, every year there would be a call from him, and I would come for Saptak. So it's really, in a sense, like coming home. And at the same time, because this is one of the few places where some of the most accomplished artists also listen to you. So, people who would be performing would be the star attractions of the next day's performance would be sitting and listening to you. Also, it's an audience full of very informed people about Hindustani classical music. So it's always a challenge to come here, and at the same time, it's home, so it's always lovely to come back.
So great. And Saptak itself stands for, it's a music school, and you already have been a panel person where you talk about art in education, music in education. So this relation with education, music as a part of education, and how it takes on. So in today's time, when you look at it as a still the Guru Shishya Parampara is viable in this time, or it has to have this course or defined way to impart this knowledge in schools?
Well, I think both ways of teaching, both pedagogical methods are valid, and they have their own strengths and limitations. For those people who really want to make a commitment, a full-time commitment to music, I feel there can be no escaping the Guru Shishya Parampara, because that customization of the training that is possible only in Guru Shishya Parampara cannot be provided elsewhere. At the same time, I feel a lot can be done to sort of educate people who want to appreciate music. So I think these are various situations for which different methods of training have to be adapted and adopted and perhaps discussed and reviewed. So very often we start ways of teaching, but we don't really, 50 years down the line, 60 years down the line, we don't really review them, and we don't really evaluate how effective they have been. I think that is sorely needed.
And you said the art appreciation or to teach how to appreciate music. So is it because with classical music or any classical art form, we know that it's I need to understand it before I can appreciate it. So is it because of that the audience is always reluctant to approach classical art, or is it because the place it's where it's been served? It's that okay, it's a classical music, so everybody cannot. It's not everybody's cup of tea. Is it because of that?
So I don't really have formulaic answers for that, but when you study, when a child goes to school and studies mathematics, let's say, through the school, do they become mathematicians? No, they don't. They get to know a little bit about mathematics, or when they study, let's say, science, do they all become scientists or surgeons or whatever. So I think this is a way of educating, and music and arts, and not only classical music. I feel that we're in a very fortunate country. We are a country that has diverse artistic expressions. And I feel that I hope that every child will be able to enjoy the richness and diversity of Indian arts, not just music. And when you give them the chance to do that, we'll have more sensitive people. We'll have more people with greater patience, with the finer qualities of life that arts are associated with. And I think that would be a wonderful space in which then people can decide, this is not a war about classical music versus anything else. Actually speaking, if you look at it, the numbers of people who come now to listen to classical music are far greater than about 100 years ago, when classical music was heard in small jalsas, in small chambers. Today, thousands of people are coming to this festival. Why do they come? Because somebody has made the effort year after year, despite odds and challenges, to create this festival. And when people make that kind of contribution, whether it is in Ahmedabad or in Pune with the Savai Gandhar festival, or in any other festival, in Har Vallabh, which is an even older festival, then you have thousands of people who are ready because a culture of listening has been slowly cultivated.
These are very encouraging words. I have last question for you where I wonder throughout your journey, your relationship with your work or with the form that you practice. must has evolved, changed? What sort of relationship you share with your own work? What is it for you?
Well, that's really for the critics to say whether it has evolved or not. But for me, it is very clear. Every day makes it more clear to me that I can't do without the music. The music can do without me, but I can't.
Oh my God. Thank you so much.